Disney animation has given us some truly unforgettable heroes, but they've also given us some incredible villains. Or, well, some not so incredible ones. We're going to sort through the good, the bad, and the just plain ugly to find out who the most loved versus most hated Disney villains really are.
And I got friends on the other side.
Be prepared! Now we sound the drums of war!
Okay, let's talk about the sheep. No, seriously, the villain of this incredibly smart movie about systemic prejudice is a disgruntled sheep with the energy of a manager who uses too many smiley faces in her emails. I am, of course, talking about Dawn Bellwether. For 90% of Zootopia, Bellwether is just this put-upon, perpetually flustered assistant who gets zero respect from Mayor Lionheart. She's tiny, she's fluffy, she's got those big old glasses. You're programmed to feel sorry for her. You're thinking, wow, what a toxic work environment. You are not thinking, there she is, the secret mastermind behind a citywide conspiracy to incite a race war. And that's the issue, isn't it? The big reveal feels less like a masterful stroke of genius and more like the writers suddenly remembered they needed a single bad guy to arrest at the end. Her whole scheme is basically the most extreme HR complaint in history. Dear Zootopia, my boss, a lion is mean to me, a sheep. As a result, I have decided to drug all predators with a psychoactive flower serum to make them go feral, thereby creating mass panic and allowing me to seize power in the ensuing chaos. Regards, Dawn. It's a lot. And look, credit where it's due. The plan is meticulously orchestrated. She's got a secret lab, a team of ram goons, and she plays Judy Hopps like a fiddle. For a fluffy sheep, the woman has the political subtlety of a sledgehammer wrapped in fleece. But man, is she just boring. A great villain needs presence, a little theatricality. Bellwether has all the menace of a sternly worded memo. Her motive is just petty revenge against the big predators who never took her seriously. It's not a grand, philosophical opposition. It's just a massive, city-destroying temper tantrum. And the way she gets caught? Oh, it's the chef's kiss of villain incompetence. After orchestrating this flawless coup, she corners Judy and Nick and decides, as all B-list villains do, that it's the perfect time for a monologue. She spills every single bean, confessing the entire plot with a smug little look on her face, completely unaware that Judy is recording everything on a carrot pen. A carrot pen. Not even a high-tech spy pen from Q Branch. A novelty carrot. Imagine being the most cunning political terrorist in Zootopia history and getting outsmarted by a root vegetable. The sheer indignity. We don't hate her because she's evil. We hate her because she's the villain equivalent of a participation trophy. Now, let's cleanse the palate. Let's move from the utterly mundane to the sublimely malevolent. Let's bow down before the furry drama club president. For life, the king of theatrical sighing, the one, the only, Scar. This is how you do it. This is Villainy 101, taught by the master himself. First, you get Jeremy Irons to voice your character, a man whose voice sounds like velvet and poison being blended together. Every single line Scar delivers is sarcasm. He's so utterly unimpressed with everything, from his new nephew to the concept of life itself. He's got that languid, bored genius vibe, like he's 5 seconds away from committing regicide just to feel something. Scar's a full-blown Shakespearean tragedy waiting to happen. He's Hamlet. But if Hamlet decided to stop moping and just murder his brother already, he knows he can't win a fistfight with Mufasa. He practically says, yeah, I skipped leg day. What of it? So he uses his brain. And what a terrifyingly brilliant brain it is. He's a puppet master, pulling the strings on Simba's naivety, the hyena's hunger, and Mufasa's paternal instincts. And can we just talk about the moment? The stampede. Mufasa is clawing his way up the cliff face, sees his brother, and begs for help. Scar doesn't just push him off. Oh no, that would be too simple. He takes a dramatic pause, digs his claws in, leans close so Mufasa can see the betrayal in his eyes, and delivers the coldest line in Disney history. Long live the king. It's a mic drop. It's the evilest thing anyone has ever said. It's perfect. I still get chills. Then, he gets his own villain song, Be Prepared, which is less of a song and more of a fascist rock opera. It's got everything. Dramatic lighting, an army of goose-stepping hyenas, and Scar just lounging about, being utterly fabulous while plotting mass murder. The sheer audacity, the showmanship, even his reign as king is terrible. Selfish ruling. He turns the Pride Lands into a grey, post-apocalyptic wasteland, not because he's stupid, but because he genuinely could not care less. As long as he has the title, the rest of them can starve for all he cares. He's petty, he's a narcissist, he's a gaslighting, gatekeeping, girl-bossing king of evil, and we absolutely love him for it. Now, let's talk about the human equivalent of a monster truck rally, the walking personification of toxic masculinity, the one, the only, Gaston. Gaston is what happens when a town's entire personality is guy who was probably quarterback in high school. He's the local hero, the town's stud, the guy who, and I cannot stress this enough, eats 5 dozen eggs every morning. That's not a diet, that's a cholesterol-fueled cry for help. And everyone in his tiny, intellectually stunted village absolutely adores him for it. They sing songs about how great he is at spitting, how his chest is covered in hair, and how every last inch of him is covered with muscle. It's the most aggressive no-homo bro fest in the Disney canon, and it has fueled an ego so massive it should have its own gravitational pull. His entire motivation is that he, the most handsome and desirable man in town, Source himself, has decided to bestow the great honor of a marriage upon Belle. Belle, a woman who can read and has thoughts, is naturally horrified. When she calls him positively primeval, he just grins, clearly not knowing what it means, but assuming it's a compliment. The man has 2 brain cells, and they're both focused on flexing. He throws a whole wedding for Belle before he has even proposed to her. He just shows up, kicks his muddy boots up on her book, The Ultimate Sin, and lays out their future. A rustic hunting lodge, her massaging his feet, and a legion of strapping boys. So Belle, being a woman with a functional sense of self-preservation, promptly yeets him out the front door and into a pigsty. But a narcissist like Gaston can't handle rejection. Does he move on? Does he find one of the 3 identical blondes who are literally throwing themselves at him? No. He descends into full-blown villainy. His master plan is to have Belle's sweet, eccentric father thrown into an insane asylum to blackmail her into marrying him. When that fails, he just improvises, whipping the entire village into a frothing mob to go kill the beast. And in the final confrontation, we see his true colors. He shoots the beast in the back, torments him, and then, when the beast finally fights back and holds him over a chasm, he immediately starts begging and pleading for his life. The second he's spared, what does he do? He stabs the beast in the back. The man is a sore loser of epic proportions, and he loses his footing and plummets to his death. His ego wrote a check that gravity was more than happy to cash. Gaston isn't just hated because he's a sexist pig, he's hated because he's the ultimate proof that being the most popular guy in a small town doesn't make you anything more than a big fish in a very, very small and very, very dumb pond. So we've established that a good villain needs a little bit of flair, right? A bit of theatricality. Well, get ready, because our next entry is the flair. Let's talk about the original goth king, the big man himself, Chernabog. Now let's be real. Chernabog, from Fantasia's Night on Bald Mountain, isn't really a character in the traditional sense. He has no dialogue. He has no tragic backstory about how his dad never played catch with him. He doesn't want to take over a kingdom or get revenge on a plucky hero. You know what this absolute unit wants? To throw the most epic, demonic rave the world has ever seen, just because it's Tuesday. And honestly, I respect the hustle. This dude's entrance is legendary. The peak of a whole mountain is just this guy's shoulders. He wakes up from his 1,000-year nap, stretches his giant leathery wings, and the first thing on his to-do list is summon all things evil and party till dawn. His guest list is a who's who of the underworld, ghosts of criminals, fallen warriors, and a whole mosh pit of demons and harpies. It's like Coachella, but with a way better soundtrack and a significantly higher chance of being tossed into a volcano. And can we talk about his hosting skills? The guy is the life of the party and the bouncer at the same time. At one point, he just casually grabs a handful of his own minions, the demons who literally RSVP'd to his evil get-together, and just yeets them into the fiery pit of the mountain. Why? Who knows? Maybe they were double-dipping in the brimstone fondue. Maybe they requested Ave Maria a little too early. The point is, Chernabog doesn't need a reason. He's having fun. He's making fire dancers, turning them into barnyard animals, and then back into demons just for the kicks. He is a giant, satanic toddler playing with his toys, and his toys are the souls of the damned. But here's the best part. After all this terrifying, awesome, world-breaking power, you know what defeats him? An alarm clock. Literally. The sun starts to come up, some distant church bells ring, and Chernabog is like, "Ugh, is that the time? Curfew, everyone! Get out!" His party just gets shut down by the equivalent of his mom telling him to keep the noise down. He just sighs, folds himself back into a mountain, and presumably goes to sleep it off. The ultimate walk of shame. We love Chernabog because he's evil TM in its most raw, primal, and ridiculously cool form. No thoughts, just vibes. And the vibes are immaculate. Get ready for a villain whose entire personality is grumpy old man yells at cloud. Only the cloud is a cute little fox. Let's talk about the human embodiment of a no trespassing sign, Amos Slade. Amos isn't a villain in the cool, takes over the world sense. He's a villain in the you're miserable next door neighbor who measures his lawn with a ruler sense. His defining traits are being crabby, grumpy, cranky, and bad-tempered. He's just perpetually annoyed that things exist near his property. The movie tries to give him a softer side because he's nice to his dogs, Chief and Copper. Whoop-de-doo. So he's capable of basic affection for the animals he's training to be his murder assistants. That doesn't make him complex. It just makes him a guy who's selectively awful. His entire beef with our hero, Todd, starts because a literal baby fox accidentally stumbles near his chicken coop. It's a misunderstanding. Amos's calm, rational response? Grab the shotgun and start blasting. He tries to turn a tiny, fluffy fox into a red mist because it might have looked at his chickens funny. It's the most extreme overreaction to a minor inconvenience in Disney history. From that point on, his grudge against this one specific fox becomes a full-blown, unhealthy obsession. He dedicates his life to it. While Scar is planning coups and Facielier is making deals with dark gods, Amos Slade is just stewing in his rocking chair thinking, I'm gonna get that fox. It's so unbelievably petty. His magnum opus of villainy is illegally sneaking into a designated anti-hunting nature preserve, armed with bear traps, all to settle a score with an animal that has repeatedly outsmarted him. And the big, tough hunter gets his butt handed to him by a bear, drops his gun like a goober, and promptly steps into his own trap. He is literally foiled by his own incompetence. He has to be saved by Todd, the very fox he's been trying to annihilate. The humiliation is exquisite. He just limps home with a sore ankle and gets to listen to Widow Tweed say, I told you so, while she bandages him up. We hate Amos Slade because he's just a sad, angry, and ultimately pathetic man with a shotgun and a grudge. Now, on the loved side is the original unbothered queen. We are, of course, talking about the head-horned honcho herself, the mistress of all evil, Maleficent. Let's be brutally honest for a second. The entire plot of Sleeping Beauty is kicked off because someone forgot to send a party invitation. King Stefan and the Queen had a baby, and in a truly legendary failure of event planning, they left the most powerful, most dramatic, most easily offended dark fairy in the entire kingdom off the guest list. Forget a passive-aggressive Facebook post. Maleficent's response to being snubbed was to show up, steal the spotlight, and curse a literal infant to death. And her entrance. There's a gust of wind, a flash of green fire, and suddenly she's just there, looking fabulous and annoyed. She gives this whole performance of being shocked and hurt that she wasn't invited. She has a flair for the dramatic that other villains can only dream of. For the next 16 years, she sends out her army of goons, who are the dumbest minions in the history of evil. They spend over a decade and a half looking for a baby. When Maleficent finds this out, she has a full-on, cackling, evil laughing fit at their sheer incompetence before immediately zapping them all with lightning. But this is why we love her. When you get past the hilarious pettiness, the woman has the power to back it up. She's not just calling herself the mistress of all evil because it sounds cool on a business card. She means it. The three good fairies, who are no slouches in the magic department, straight up admit they can't undo her curse. They can only tweak it. That's a power move. And when Prince Philip finally shows up, ready to be the hero, Maleficent summons a literal forest of thorns around the entire castle. And when that doesn't work, she says, and I'm paraphrasing here, fine, I'll do it myself, teleports to the bridge, and turns into a giant freaking dragon. The level of extra is off the charts. She is so powerful and so utterly committed to her grudge that she will literally unleash all the powers of hell to stop one dude from kissing a girl. You have to respect the commitment. She is style, she is power, and she is the undisputed queen of doing the absolute most over the absolute least. Okay, the good times are over. We've soared with the lion, and now we must plummet back to earth and land in a large, purple, and profoundly stupid puddle named Governor Ratcliffe. My God, this guy. If Scar is a complex Shakespearean villain, Ratcliffe is the villain from a cheap Saturday morning cartoon who gets foiled by a dog and 3 meddling kids. The man is a walking, talking caricature of every negative colonialist stereotype with zero nuance and even less personality. He looks like a freshly bruised plum in a bad wig, and his motivations are about as deep as a dinner plate. What does he want? Gold. That's it. Not to build an empire, not for some twisted sense of divine right, just use shiny stuff to make him rich. His big villain song, Mine, 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 is literally just him, a grown man, stomping his feet and shouting about how he wants all the stuff for himself. It's the official anthem of main character syndrome, and it's not even a bop. It's just annoying. And the racism, ooh boy. He calls the Native Americans savages and vermin with such glee that it stops being menacing and just becomes lame. There's no psychology behind it. He's not a complex figure wrestling with his own prejudices like Frollo. He's just a racist because the plot needed a racist. He's a cardboard cutout with bad guys scrawled on him in crayon. The movie tries in one line to give him some depth by saying this is his last chance to be somebody and that his peers think he's a pathetic social climber. Oh no. The genocidal maniac is feeling insecure about his social status. Somebody call a therapist. Are we supposed to feel bad for him? Because I don't. That doesn't make him complex. It just makes him a whiny failure on top of being an evil one. He is utterly useless. He does none of the work. He's a terrible leader, and his own men can't stand him. The second things go south, they tie him up and ship him home without a second thought. There's no epic final battle. He just gets arrested because he's an incompetent chump who accidentally shot the hero. He is the definition of a wasted opportunity. In a decade that gave us Scar, Frollo, and Hades, Disney also gave us this pompous, gold-obsessed, walking human thumb. Utterly, unforgivably boring. Next. Okay, let's talk about a villain who has more style in his little finger than most characters have in their entire animated bodies. Let's talk about the Shadow Man, the smooth-talking, sweet-dealing Dr. Facielier. This man is charisma poured into a fabulous suit. From the second he slinks onto the screen, you know you're dealing with a professional. He's not some brute or a whiny prince. He's a hustler, a con artist with a PhD in temptation. His whole operation is based on finding what you want most and dangling it in front of your face with a wicked grin. And the voice. Keith David's voice is so smooth and menacing, he could read you the phone book and you'd still willingly sign over the deed to your house. But here's the best part. For all his power and charm, the man is basically in crippling supernatural debt. His friends on the other side aren't his loyal minions, they're his cosmic loan sharks, and they are coming to collect. This adds a fantastic sense of desperation to everything he does. He's trying to pull off the biggest scam of his life to avoid having his soul repossessed. It makes him so much more interesting than some all-powerful sorcerer. He's a guy on a deadline, and the stakes are literally his own damnation. And the song, Friends on the Other Side, is an absolute masterpiece. It's a Broadway-level banger, a visual acid trip, and manipulation all rolled into one. He lays out his entire evil contract right in front of them, and he does it with so much pizzazz and showmanship that they just nod along and sign on the dotted line. You know you shouldn't trust him, but you kind of want to see what happens if you do. He's charming, he's terrifying, his fashion sense is impeccable, and he gets dragged to hell by his demonic creditors. What's not to love? Oh, Prince Hans. Prince Hans of the Southern Isles. Where do I even start with this guy? For about an hour of Frozen, he is the most perfect, non-threatening, beautifully animated male lead Disney has ever produced. He's charming. He gets Anna's whole quirky vibe. He finishes her sandwiches, which is like the international sign for soulmate. You're watching them sing their adorable little duet and you're thinking, okay, this is it. This is the guy. A bit bland maybe, but a solid choice. And then the movie pulls the rug out from under you so hard, you get whiplash. Anna is dying. Her heart literally frozen, and she crawls to her one true love for a life-saving kiss. And what does this dreamboat do? He leans back, lets out a villainous little smirk, and basically says, "Psych, I've been evil the whole time. Also, I'm going to put out this fire and leave you to die alone in the cold. Toodles." The problem isn't just that he's a villain, it's that the reveal is the cheapest, laziest writing trick in the book. There is zero foreshadowing, not a single hint. He doesn't have a shifty-eyed moment or a single line of dialogue that makes you go, He's a completely different character in the last 20 minutes. It's like the writers got to page 80 of the script and went, you know what would be crazy? If the nice guy was actually a sociopath. Yes, it would be crazy. It would also be a massive narrative cheat. And his motivation, get ready for this. He's the youngest of 13 brothers. 13! So he'll never get to be king at home. Oh, the humanity. My dude, your sob story is that you're just not the most important prince in your massive royal family? That's the premise of a mediocre reality TV show. His grand plan to solve this minor inconvenience is to marry and then immediately murder his way up the line of succession in a foreign country. It's so needlessly extra. We hate Hans not because he's a chilling mastermind, but because he's a walking plot twist who exists solely to make Kristoff look better by comparison. Alright, let's switch gears from the schemers and the plotters to a villain who operates on chaotic evil energy. A woman who looked at the Disney villain rulebook, cackled, lit it on fire with her long cigarette holder, and then drove over the ashes with her ridiculously long car. Let's talk about the OG unhinged fashionista, Cruella de Vil. Now, you have to respect the sheer simplicity of her whole deal. She's not burdened with a tragic backstory or a complex political agenda. Cruella de Vil is not trying to take over a kingdom. She's not seeking ultimate power. My girl is just trying to put together an outfit. That's it. Her entire villainous motivation, the thing that drives her to grand larceny and attempted mass puppycide, is that she wants a new coat. And honestly, in a world of over-the-top evil plans, the sheer unapologetic vanity of it all is iconic. Cruella is a whole mood, and that mood is fabulously furious. She doesn't walk into a room. She materializes in a cloud of green smoke and judgment. She barges into the Radcliffe's cozy little home, immediately insults Roger's career, scoffs at their domestic bliss, and then has the audacity to demand they sell her their unborn children. She is the worst house guest in human history. She's that one rich aunt who thinks her opinion is a gift to you all. And her plan to get the puppies? It's not some grand, intricate scheme. She just hires the two most incompetent goons from the bottom of the henchman barrel, Jasper and Horace. These guys are the task rabbits of crime, and she's the nightmare client who keeps screaming at them down the phone. But the real magic happens in the finale, the car chase. This is where Cruella hunches over the steering wheel of her absurd car. Her eyes turn into red, swirling vortexes of madness, and she starts driving like an absolute maniac. She is girl bossing a little too close to the sun, trying to run a truck full of puppies off a cliff, all for the sake of accessorizing. The sheer, unhinged commitment is something to behold. She's not a deep villain, but she's pure, high-octane, campy evil, and for that, we have no choice but to stand.